So, Benny, what were you just saying about Mustang convertibles and an inopportune place to be in a Mustang convertible?
Yeah, in Hawaii, they have a lot of Mustang convertibles that you can rent at the airport. A lot of them. And I rented one, and I thought it was super cool to be in Hawaii in a convertible. And I later found out that no one in Hawaii has Mustang convertibles. They only rent them to the tourists, and a lot of Mustang convertibles get broken into in Hawaii. Because they know the people are going to be gone.
I must be the only person here with this red Mustang convertible.
Has anyone had this idea before? Rolling around in a convertible in Hawaii. I'm going to look so cool rolling up to the White Lotus in this thing.
Oh, man. The worst part was I was blasting my music so loud in it that
I for sure won't be the one who gets killed.
Yeah.
JP, I know you don't want me to sing the White Lotus song, but could you please play 5 seconds of the White Lotus theme song and have it roll into our own theme song for episode 107 of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast? Did you like that creative thinking on my feet there, JP?
Yeah, well done.
That's gonna be fun to work with in post-production. You are welcome.
Can't wait.
Sorry, Benny, I did interrupt the end of your Hawaii story there, and I didn't want to do that.
Not to dive into another story, but I got this new weed strain called Purple Urkel that I smoked earlier today, and it is like not weed. It is.
What you're gonna say.
No, but you look like you could be a purple Urkel right now. You got to.
I am telling you, I don't know
rims
what.
and the Grateful Dead tie-dye shirt.
And for whatever reason, your lenses are reflecting in purple.
You are here tonight.
It's like it's emanating from your eyeballs.
So, in short, I don't remember what I was gonna say at the end of the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Way to kick off episode 107.
Well, I apologize
with confusion and chaos, the appropriate way.
Not remembering what you're going to say, you sound like the lawyer representing George Kafkoff in the Pac-12 today.
Yes, that was a great
Whitman County Court.
Yes. Oh,
I figured we should talk about this at the top because I want to get it. It was a joyous occasion at Reeser on Saturday. I was there with super secret producer Iskander. We ran into a lot of Beaver fam and listeners there. Got to chat with John McCartan's dad over a beer. Didn't realize it was John McCartan's dad until we shook hands and said farewell. And he was like, "My son is number 6," and I was like, "Damien." I don't mean to call bullshit. He was like, "No, John McCartan," and I was like, "Oh, that makes way more sense, sir."
I wonder how many people he told he was the father of number 6 too.
It is a good joke, but he was very cool, very very fun, and obviously very excited about how well his son had played and the whole Beaver defense played in week 1, and then we got to see him play a great game in week 2. So we will talk about that, but I think it makes sense today to jump in immediately to what happened in court, which I think is a Belligerent Beavs first. I don't think we've referenced any courtroom proceedings or immediately potted on a day when we there's a relevant courtroom session, and there was today, and it felt like the whole Beaver Nation was watching this and reacting to it. And apparently, I was watching like Spokane, like some news station in Spokane was sharing it live, and it was clearly the footage of a Zoom video. But I guess they just made the Zoom public, and people were in it. I saw Nicole Auerbach from NBC Sports was like, at the end of the session, a few fans unmuted themselves and said, "Go Beavs and go Cougs," and I'm like, members of the public had the ability to unmute themselves. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Had I known that, I for sure would have been in the Zoom and not watching KXLI or whatever the hell it was.
I didn't watch. I just followed along on Twitter, but I tried to join. When I found the link, scroll past me on XPro/TweetDeck, and I was like, oh, there's a link. So I clicked the link, and I was skeptical in a way, and it started to fire up, and it showed my video, and it showed my face and like me just sitting at my desk, and I was like, had my name across it, and I'm like, oh no, it's like we've alerted the host that you are here. They will let you in shortly. And I was like, I need to leave. So I left.
Crazy. That's crazy that they allowed the public in there with the ability to unmute themselves. It could have gone so much worse.
Exactly. At some point, they asked someone to like unmute themselves, but I'm like, what would I would need to find out who the stenographer was and be like, I need a transcript of this just so I can frame the moment when, you know, the honorable judge has to say, excuse me, Zoom user Go Beavs for life 6969 FTD. Could you please mute your microphone? you are disturbing my courtroom.
Oh.
But anyway, actual things happened in the courtroom. So the long short of it, and I read a number of great columns on why this is necessary. I think Canzano just posted his response or what he gathered from it as well, and it's a great read. But a Pac-12 board meeting had been scheduled or put on the calendar for Wednesday from George Kliavkov, the guy who used to be in charge of a conference known as the Conference of Champions. And his whereabouts now, well, we know. His lawyer claimed he's in a terrible place, and the judge responded, he's in Montana. And
well, awesome.
Want to know? That was maybe my favorite wait what moment of the day. And what's significant about this is that it went to all 12 members, where since last June 30th, 2022, USC and UCLA have not participated in one board meeting because they gave up their board seats. The same happened when Colorado said they were leaving in July. And then since then, it was kind of a mass exodus. Things happened quickly, whatever. But there had not been a board meeting where motions could be made and votes could be taken and seconds could be given and things like that. Since before USC and UCLA announced their intentions to join the Big Ten. So it was a little suspicious, especially on the part of Washington State and Oregon State, to see this, where in a typical board meeting, you are allowed to vote on just about anything. And from what I read in Pete Thamel's column on ESPN, an anonymous representative of a departing school said that according to the Pac-12 bylaws, 9 schools could vote to dissolve the conference at any time. And I think that's significant because prior to all this, maybe there was a way where 9 schools could be like, hey, we can all go to the Big Ten, or we can all go to like the Big whatever and get out. Let's do this shit. Let's do it now. And maybe that could have worked. But the way that would play now is that it wouldn't play, because intentions have clearly been given, announcements have been made, and 10 institutions have zero interest in the future of what the Pac-12 means. And this meeting happening on Wednesday, it is fucking crystal clear that they weren't just meeting to catch up and be like, hey, we've got a conference to manage for 11 more months. Like, what do you guys think? They were trying to fuck us. They were trying to fuck Wazoo. They were trying to get a quorum to vote to dissolve the conference and evenly distribute all remaining assets and take the value of the brand name away, which we can dispute. People can argue about how much value the name Pac-12 still has. That's fine. But there are assets. There's actual money in some kind of a war chest. How big is the chest? We don't know. And that's part of the biggest frustration for Oregon State and Washington State. They've been trying to get clarity as Barnes and Schultz and just power brokers and leadership at Oregon State and Washington State have committed to staying part of the Pac-12 and rebuilding the conference, as they are absolutely empowered to do by the NCAA bylaws. And they've gotten zero information from Kliavkoff and the Pac-12 in recent weeks. And also, we have heard on pretty high authority that a number of the departing institutions want their transition costs covered by the very conference they're leaving. It's all very shiesty and next level slimery, and it will work me into a tizzy. But the judge ruled in our favor today. We got a small win. The temporary restraining order has been placed. So no meeting Wednesday.
No meeting Wednesday.
Yep.
Fuck around, find out.
Well, what does that mean, though, about controlling votes and asset ownership going forward?
I think this was an emergency thing where the only thing that was being argued is if the conference should be able to have the meeting on Wednesday. And it was a rule to not have that meeting on Wednesday. And as I understand it, it's to allow some time for those questions to be answered. Right. But I think what it comes down to, right, is like it's a matter of if those schools that are leaving should be able to have a vote on current and future Pac-12 matters. And the precedent that's been set is no, right? What Terry alluded to with USC and UCLA losing their voting privileges after they made the announcement, which was made on Twitter. And so that precedent was set. And I think, obviously, none of us are lawyers, but I think, it's pretty clear from a layman's standpoint is that the precedent set is going to hold up in court, or at least that's what it would seem like. And if they are able to vote, they're going to vote to be able to distribute all of those funds equally, which
dissolve the
Oregon
conference. Yeah,
exactly.
The language that
pull the rug
Eric
out from under
McMichael,
us, essentially.
Yep.
My new favorite lawyer of all time, pointed out in court today was that there was language about amending the bylaws that could have happened in this meeting, where if you're leaving something, you don't get to amend the bylaws
right
of that thing. And the other, this was one more important thing that he said, was in Pac-12 bylaws, it doesn't say what like the required statement of intent for departure is. It just says like it's very vague, and then, so if you follow everything,
well, if that's where I was going to go, that goes up to interpretation, though. That's why I still don't like the odds for us in court leaving it up to interpretation, and also where there are so many different avenues of technicalities that would allow some of these schools who have a lot of money behind them and maybe a lot of legal power as well, they could very easily find a way to be like, this is where we're going. Sorry, we have proof.
I know, but the proof is pages on their university website saying, we are going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not arguing against that. But what I am saying is that my fear is that's not enough to be considered written notice.
I was
which is the requirement of leaving the conference. None of them have given any written notice to the conference as written in the bylaws. None of them.
Yeah.
None of them.
But it's not written in the bylaws that is what's required to leave. It's just intention to leave. And they announced publicly their intentions to leave.
Okay, but isn't that still interpretation then at this point?
It kind of is, but
yeah.
they've already lost the court of public opinion, which we would argue constantly about how much that matters. But I don't know. I'm not comfortable with the vagueness of it, but it's not like there was a protocol that needed to be followed to leave. They had every school was in a point of the grant of rights expiring where they could all leave without an exit fee. So it was all in their best interest to do it, and they all used language about like, this is in the best interest of our student athletes. So once all of that evidence is submitted to court and looked over, like how would any of these institutions be able to go full like Joey Tribbiani on it and be like, you thought we were leaving the Big Ten or leaving for the Big Ten from what we said? We didn't mean that. We meant something completely different. And it's just, it's so fucking unnecessary. And this is just the way that these people operate. Like,
yeah, that's what pisses me off the most. This is just absolute bullshit that these universities are still trying to claw and scratch out whatever they can out of the Pac-2 and like try to claim that any of this is rightfully theirs when they're the ones who made the decisions to walk away from it. But to me, like, look, there's so much unknown about what's going to come. I'm thrilled that we got the judge decide in our favor today. It buys us time. And just like the potential NCAA bylaws buying us time as a conference that has less than the appropriate amount of members in it, this is in the same vein. And I think if anything, Oregon State needs time. We need to figure this out. It's not as clear as day of what our best path forward is. And being put into crunch time does not help get to that solution. If anything, it probably will drive us to the wrong solution. So this today is a win, but I want to make it very clear that I don't think that this is a win over all 10 other schools leaving the Pac-12.
Of course not.
Because there's still so much up in the air when it comes to where are the chips all going to fall. I mean, I don't really think anyone has that idea yet. But yeah, I'm not surprised these asshole schools are trying to, squeeze out whatever they can. I mean, I think what their intention was before this meeting this week, was to hope that Oregon State and Washington State would just crumble under all this pressure and move on. And be like, well, hey, we're all on our way out now. Good job, everyone. Found a new home. Let's dissolve this and move forward. And since the two schools have dug their heels into the ground and are making a fight for this, the other 10 got pissed. They're absolutely pissed because this is still a cash grab, just like everything else they've done. They're mad that we're intervening on their finances, and it's very hypocritical of them, insanely hypocritical of them to care about anyone else impeding on their financial situations. But
no kidding.
Like, I hope that we win this all. I hope that we take if anything, I've been a proponent of retaining the Pac-2, Pac-12, whatever it is, since the beginning. I even said last July when USC and UCLA left, I said the Pac is going nowhere. And I still firmly believe that could be the case, and I still firmly believe that is the best route forward. And if anything, it gives us the most fun fight of the millennium of college athletics, where Davids are fighting the Goliaths.
Right. And they did not think we're going to get up off the mat and swing that way.
No, absolutely not.
Climb down from the mat and go to the Mountain West.
Just like all the comments from the athletic departments, we would still do their, rivalry games. We hope they still play those across all sports. I mean, all this patronizing bullshit is clearly their frame of mind as to why they think that this money is deserved to them, why they think they could just continue to patronize us and our school, our athletic department, our university presidents, and say, what do you mean we had to give a notice? We haven't done that yet, so I'll take the money. Oh, what do you mean that you still haven't moved conferences? Oh, well, we're gonna vote to dissolve the conference. Then it's within our right.
The Big Ten's not giving us enough money in year one. We need our transition cost covered.
Yeah. Man, that's so a couple of things to what you said, JP. I think first, I agree with you. Like, the burden of proof is going to be much less in this case to disallow the meeting on Wednesday than it will be for the eventual case, unless it's settled outside of court, that would determine who gets voting rights and who doesn't. I think that there's going to have to be a lot more evidence put on the table for us to exclude the other 10 schools from being able to vote on Pac-12 matters. So I do agree that on paper and in the court of public opinion, it would seem to be that Oregon State and Washington State would be favored to win this case, but it does open up the avenue for their lawyers to poke holes in the argument. But another thing that I want to point at is look at what Oregon State and Washington State are paying for. We're paying for our lawyers. We're paying for the lawyers that have the interest of our opposition. So we're paying for the Pac-12 lawyers and our lawyers. We're also paying for Kliakoff's salary, the guy that's mentioned in the lawsuit. I mean, if we weren't getting fucked in a multitude of different ways before, we're paying for all court costs along with paying for the person that we're suing. So it's a bit of irony there. And then the last thing I want to say is absolute kudos to President Murphy and Washington State's president. We got this notice Saturday night that there was going to be a meeting on Wednesday, and they were in court on Monday. Yeah, that's incredible. And so props to them. I think props to Barnes as well. well, where we were looking at the presser that they held where they really couldn't say a lot. This is probably why this was in the works. They were not given official notice until Saturday, but this certainly was a meeting that was in the works for a while. So really amazing part on our administration to be ready for this when it came, and to get this win, because in court today it seemed like it was easy. I think getting to the point where we were in court was a lot of finagling and strategy on our administration's behalf.
Yeah, I think just real quick to echo on that, like, because I think that this is a testament, like you said, both the athletic department and the university president, because everyone was doubting Murphy and Barnes, being like they weren't ready, they were caught off guard. All of this like was so much bigger than they could handle.
Right.
And what this has showed me over the last 4 days was that I think that they're actually a lot smarter than a lot of the other presidents and athletic directors in this conference.
Absolutely,
sure.
Who bit at the first bait they saw on the line, and just decided like, wow, that sounds cool, or oh, that looks good, delicious. No, we waited it out. We were trying to feel out what the right opportunity was for everything. We ended up without a seat in the musical chairs, obviously. But then we didn't overreact. We didn't go bashing across media. We stayed quiet. We stayed composed. We stayed planning. We looked at every option that we had, and we vetted the best path forward, including preparation for something like what could have happened this week on Wednesday. And they came out incredibly ready. Statements. On Friday, I think it was Friday, they put out the statement, maybe it was Saturday. And then, no, I think it was Friday. And then Murphy was on CNN. I mean, they were ready. They were ready. Yep. They were prepared. I don't think that we have any reason to doubt those two leading the athletics programs back into the best position that they can bring them to. Like, sometimes hands are tied.
Right.
Like, if no one's knocking on your door, like, you can only knock on somebody else's door so many times. And like, I don't think that that's the case. But I do have to like preface with, if we don't end up where you fan or fellow Beaver fan member want us to be. One, there's probably a lot of other people, including myself, that will empathize with that and wish that we were somewhere else. But I, for sure as hell, at this point, will not go knocking our athletic department or our administration for where we end up, because it is very clear that there are forces far beyond what we even know right now trying to drive us into extinction. I mean, that's clearly it. And we're giving it the best fighting chance that we possibly can.
Right. And there's also no way that like either Murphy or Barnes could be prepared for this. Like, this blindsided everybody. And also, Murphy just passed the 1-year anniversary of her being the president of Oregon State. So that's kind of a crazy first 12 months on the job. And meanwhile, in that 12 months, she's not just in charge of the athletic department. Barnes is. Murphy's got a whole other university to run.
Yeah.
And it was Oregon State raised more money for research, $480 million in 1 year, than they ever have before. So the university is in good hands. Like,
keep her.
Exactly. And I think it's just been good to not panic, even though it's probably a panic-inducing situation, and to be patient. So I feel good about this. I may be a little bit more optimistic. Again, not a legal expert, but I don't see any reasonable path towards how these departing institutions can get their transition costs, whatever those are, paid for by the conference they are departing. And unless there's some, threats made or things get shiesty and Murphy and Schultz welch, but I don't think they will. Like, they've come this far. So unfortunately, it's fascinating. It shouldn't be. We should just be talking about the games and the teams and the student athletes. Also, maybe this is a little bit of a transition too, but it's fucking ironic and annoying and stupid. And it also kind of great that it looks like we're destined for a week 4 matchup of 2 undefeated and ranked teams between Oregon State and Washington State on Fox, the very network that deemed us unworthy of being involved in any of this shit.
Unbelievable. It really is unbelievable that the level, and I feel like it's an onion, the layers of irony that are built into that game and how it's going to be broadcast across the country is ridiculous. And before we fully transition, I just want to say, like, we were so mad when it came out that the remaining 7 schools were going to be leaving for the Big 12, and sort of how it all transpired once we realized that the Pac-12 was falling apart. We were really, really mad at the other schools. And I think that there was a level of a crutch for them to stand on, saying like, hey, the Pac-12 was falling apart, especially the schools that went to the Big 12 at the last minute. Like, hey, the Pac-12 was falling apart. We had to bolt. This is in our best interest. It's like, fuck you, but I get it for the Arizona and Arizona states of the world. But after this court proceeding and understanding how the other schools were going to go about leaving the conference, there's no doubt in my mind that maybe it wasn't their first thing at the top of their list of agenda of trying to get done, but there is a malicious aspect of this that is trying to destroy our athletic departments. And I don't say that lightly. Oregon State is going to get significantly less income in the following years because of the conference that they're going to end up in, which is going to cause them to drastically have to restructure their entire finances for all sports. And the remaining funds that Oregon State and Washington State were going to have, we're going to be able to keep them on their feet for a couple of years while they navigated this really difficult and unprecedented situation. And the fact that the other schools who are going to be getting more money, so they're going to be restructuring their finances in a positive way. What other things can we fit in? Can we expand our stadium, get new uniform, whatever it is, right? And so the fact that they're trying to scrape and claw away the money that could keep our athletic programs afloat is just greed in the most pure form, the purest form that you could have in any sort of athletics or
amateur sports.
in amateur sport. It's just unbelievable that any fan would still support the decisions their athletic department's making. And I think you can absolutely be a fan of, let's say, University of Washington. You can absolutely
I knew you weren't going to pick the other one.
Yeah.
I knew you weren't going to pick the other one.
No, because that's unforgivable. But you could reasonably be a fan of University of Washington and still think that what they're doing is wrong. And I have seen people come out and say that. And I think in the court of public opinion, you have people like Brock Heward, who's a University of Washington legend, coming across and saying, like, this is unacceptable. This is not the way that universities should go about it. And I think he made a really good point of saying there was tension between Oregon State and Oregon and Washington State and Washington. And this would have been such a good faith move by the University of Oregon and University of Washington to push back on the other schools and say, look, like, we're already fucking them over. Let's just let this go. Would it have made me forgive them? Probably not, but it would have been a good faith gesture. And they totally shit the bed on that. And I think that is telling. And I think that is why this revenge tour is going to be even more venom filled and just spiteful. I hope to see a big party in Pullman, but the rest of the games, just remember, Beaver fam, like, every single one of those schools after September 23rd tried to destroy Oregon State's athletic program. And I think it's as black and white as that.
Right. So if you see another fan, they owe you an apology. And
That's
you
right.
you are entitled to one. It's like, when you catch, like, your partner cheating on you, and then 2 weeks later your ex-partner is out to dinner with that person, and then they try and get you to pay for the check.
Hey, I forgot my credit card. Can you?
Yeah, can you Venmo me? Yeah. I wrote in the Monday morning tail slap this morning that Kleofkoff and the 10 departing institutions are a sad sack of losers who left the party at 10:30 for another party, and that party didn't have beer, so they went back to the original party to try and steal the kegs and bring them to their shitty or lifeless party. So, fuck them. Let's win on the field and then win in the courtroom.
Yeah, the last transition of this that I would say is I'm so excited for that September 23rd game. I don't know if I'm going yet, but that is going. I hope that becomes an annual tradition where that is just one big gigantic party.
It should.
They should do home and homes every season.
Yeah, yeah, or home and home and home and home when we're the only two schools left.
We might. We might have 12 games against each other next year to figure that out.
Honestly, though, that would be the most epic year of college football, maybe of all time, and it will never be topped.
That would make an intense 30 for 30. A person, a dude I met in Corvallis this weekend. I was at the game. Excited to talk about it, guys.
Yeah, hey.
Our hotel was right by Buffalo Wild Wings. And on beautiful 9th Street. And
double-decker lobby?
The double-decker lobby.
Oh, fancy.
Right when I walked in, I was like, I can see why Everett thought this was cool as a 5-year-old. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've never been to the Corvallis Buffalo Wild Wings. They built it right after we graduated, I think. Maybe it was a year or two later. But
yeah.
So we missed it. And then, of course, super secret producer Skinner and I get in. I'm like, this is just a Buffalo Wild Wings. And they fucked up our order. But whatever. We were watching the Nebraska-Colorado game there. And a dude who was sitting at the bar with us was telling me that it's already been organized, but after the game in Pullman on the 23rd, all fans attending the game are welcome to not like rush the field. Maybe it'll be a rush the field moment for what, I don't know. But it's all Oregon State and Washington State fans are invited to the field for a moment of community, for like everyone to shake hands and just reaffirm like we're in this fight together.
Wait, hold on. That's going to happen, or
that's
he's proposing?
What he told me, and I haven't had time to double check on this because I had just found out we were going to court before finding this out. But that makes a lot of sense. And also, hey, both teams got games they need to take care of this weekend. We'll talk about the Beaver game against San Diego State as well. But if both teams are 3-0, it would be shameful. Where's the camera? ESPN. Shameful if
Podcast
you go
your ears,
anywhere
Terry.
Besides Pullman, Washington with ESPN College Game Day in Week 4. I don't give a shit if Ohio State's at Notre Dame. That's what they've expected. You've done that game 1,000 times. Have there even been 1,000 College Game Days? No, there haven't. But basically you have. This is a unique opportunity. How fucking poetic, because poetics can be, dark and grimy as well. If our matchup between the two teams that nobody wanted, nationally televised on Fox, preceded by ESPN College Game Day on location, that at least gets some eyeballs, and I think curries even more favor with national college football fans. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping both teams are 3-0, and then obviously we get up to Pullman and, among other things, get that dub. But we need to move on.
Just one quick question for you guys. I promise it's quick. If Oregon State and Washington State continue to be top 20, top 15 schools in the nation, it seems like there is a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon of Washington State and Oregon State are America's teams as well. Do you think that if they force themselves to be in the national conversation, that a conference is going to cave and take?
No, absolutely not. And it's solely because the conference stuff at this point, I think originally, maybe, if the conferences that are backed by the big networks were like, who should we get? And they waited through this season. Yes, I think we would have played ourselves into that kind of conversation. I think it's too late for that. And I think that the teams that are there, as you have brought up, have pure intentions to not just leave us in the dust, but destroy what they left behind. So there's no chance in hell that they're gonna be like, yeah, bring them too, actually. Now we just tried to fuck them up. Let's just have them join us anyways.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
But I'd say in the Big Ten, no.
Yeah, I agree.
The Big Ten's impossible. I think Oregon State and Washington State do make a ton of sense on paper for the Big 12.
Agreed.
And it's easy to go scorched earth with this and freak the fuck out. But the end of this decade is when all of these grant of rights deals are expiring. So there's going to be another spin of the realignment bill. So I wouldn't be all that surprised. The schools departing us do not make up close to a majority in the Big 12. And the Big 12 currently is a minority in comparison to these other super conferences between SEC and the Big 10. So I could see the Big 12 and the ACC wanting to add another team or two. And in every facet, Oregon State and Washington State makes sense for the Big 12. So I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think it's a little naive and overly optimistic to think that Oregon State football can somehow play its way into a better position than the position that they've been put in because of this overwhelming greed and just all in all shithousery on account of the suits who are ruining this fucking sport.
Yeah, and I don't really want to align with them as a personal fan perspective either. I mean, which is why I'm so dead set on rebuilding the pack. Like, we control our own destiny. We can align with a partner that clearly sees value in our university and isn't just lumping us in as a concession or as what they calculate to be a loss, but they can mitigate it with, the earnings from other schools. I want to have a media partner that's gonna legitimately be like, you're gonna be our showcase university or one of two or whatever.
Or we want you.
Yeah, exactly. So fuck ESPN. They're dying anyways. They can't even get their shit on the spectrum in pretty much anywhere in the southeastern United States anymore. And then fuck Fox. I don't want to do anything with them either. So
no way. No, Fox has to be off the table.
Bring me a streaming giant. Give me a goddamn Netflix. I don't care. Show me that you want to get into college football and college athletics, and show me why you think Oregon State's the right fit beyond just that we don't have a media deal. But that's not going to happen joining another conference. I don't want to join another conference. I want the pack to come back, to be back, to be the 2-pack.
And bring Apple back to the table once we reverse merger with all the Pac-12 infrastructure.
There we go.
We have to move on 25 minutes ago.
All right. So okay, let's go.
On to the Reagan beer segment. We do have a lot to toast tonight, obviously. A lot of big dubs happening on the football field and in other parts of the Oregon State athletics stratosphere as well. We stay winning. We stay on top. Lots to celebrate. I'll go first tonight. I should have gotten a more optimistic branded beer, but in honor of the Minnesota Vikings losing a clunker yesterday, I have from Surly Brewing Company, sort of the first big craft brewery that really blew up during the craft beer boom in the aughts in Minneapolis, is a lager called Before I Die, and it's purple and gold, and it has the Grim Reaper on it with flags with the Surly S, which could also stand for skull, and it's just I just want one before I die. And I think an Oregon State national championship is closer than a Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl currently. And I take that. I would absolutely take that. But as a lager, it's smooth, it's delicious, it's thirst quenching, and it goes down nice and helps me forget all of the washed AF Baker Mayfield out dueling the Vikings and coming away with a win yesterday. I really didn't watch much of the game because I was flying back from Corvallis, so thankfully I missed most of it. But catching up on it was not fun.
But you miss the Justin Jefferson post interception tackle?
I did not see it live. I saw it later.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, because whoever he hit was also thinking of all the things he wanted to have happen before he nearly died before Justin hit him.
JJ can do it all, man. What can I say?
Helmet popped off, everything. That was a sick hit for a wide receiver to do that. That was a sick hit.
It's one. I think I remember growing up, and this will be a quick story, but I got like a top 10 like NFL films videoed from my grandma for Christmas when I was like 8, and there was the top 10 hits ever. It was like all linebackers and defensive backs, but one was
3 of those men died in 1937.
And one of those receivers was Seattle Seahawk legend Steve Largent. White boy with the curly fro. He got knocked out one season by a Denver Broncos defensive back named Mike Harden, and then not for the whole season, he got knocked out for like 6 games or something. And then towards the end of the season, they were playing again because the Seahawks and the Broncos were in the same division, the AFC back then. And Harden got an interception in Seattle, and then was like making a big return. He had gotten a lot of yards and like came over midfield, and Largent came out of nowhere and knocked him the fuck out, made him fumble, and recovered the ball too. So it was like, the offensive players don't ever get to exact revenge, but Largent got his slim window and took advantage of it, and it was dope. So I'm happy JJ got to Steve Largent somebody, even if it came in a loss.
Hey, and I was going to make a comment about Seahawks fans not even knowing that they were once in the AFC, but I would have to say
It's true. It is true.
But the fans who are still fans now, I probably have to hand it to them. They probably are only sticking around because they're the ones who were there when they were in the AFC. The other ones are probably gone. But good story, good choice, good job, JJ. We're all tying all this content together. I'll go next, Benny. I'll leave you last.
Yeah, cool.
I'll just tease with there were a lot of weddings that I attended this week, more than I think I've ever attended in 1 week in my entire life. And, one of them was down in McMinnville, and that's why I missed the Oregon State season home opener for this event. We did stay at the Hotel Oregon, though, in downtown McMinnville, the McMinimans, which was very cool. Great burger to have at midnight after a wedding. So and so I grabbed a sunflower IPA from McMinimans.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
To bring home with me. I did. So quick little side on the wedding. Shout out Zed Tava for getting married to Benny Jurger, and they're gonna have wonderful lives together, inverting their first letters of their first and last names.
No one's gonna crack that code.
I'll have to say, though, I can say it's Ted. So I'll have to say there were moments in my early evening prior to going to the wedding that I was calculating how I could maybe make it from McMinnville to Corvallis for the game. Hour drive after some, a beer or two is still going to be a little iffy. But I didn't let down my hope. I even bought a ticket to get into Research Stadium, even though if I knew this might go unused, but just in case.
Thank you for supporting Oregon State athletics, JP. Your contribution means a lot to our student athletes in our community.
Well, I got to shout out Funky Paul Molina for selling me one of his season tickets to go do it. So it was an exchange of tickets. Either way, Ted tried to make it right, and he knew, of course, that there were a lot of Beaver fans in attendance and those who were excited about the game. So he told the DJ as soon as the Beavs win, assuming they would, of course, to play Party in the USA at the wedding. So the DJ cut in the middle of a song, told the crowd the Beavs won, told them the score, and then dropped Party in the USA. So
nice.
Shout out to the Zavas. Congrats to them.
Do we get canceled in Russia when we play Miley? We do, don't we?
We do, yeah.
Okay,
every
then
time.
in honor of your beard, JP, please play 5 seconds of Sunflower by Post Malone.
Yes.
So, quick little story on Zed Tava. I was roommates with him in the dorms my freshman year at Oregon State, and my mom told me while she was here this weekend that they were both. So Ted's dad and my mom were in the dorm room with Ted and I, and there was like the RA was on the floor, and Ted's dad asked, so if things don't work out between roommates, can they switch roommates halfway through the year? So I didn't know that until now, but Ted's dad had his opinions about me before we even started living together. Right, correct opinions, by the way.
Yeah, Ted hasn't done very well ever since living with you.
Sorry,
clearly.
Sorry, Ted. Cool. Well, I had the purple Urkel, as I mentioned previously. I am starting to feel a little bit more clear-headed from it, but if you do partake, I would highly recommend purple Urkel, but like in a setting where you're not around people and you don't have to drive and you have a lot of food out.
As opposed to the rest of the vices we enjoy on the show, where we insist that you be driving while enjoying them.
Yeah.
Don't drive while consuming anything we talk about during the Reagan beer segment.
Yeah,
gosh.
It was a ride for sure. It was the strongest I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
The strongest you've ever had?
By quite a bit.
Keep that shit far away from me next time we hang out.
It was really strong.
If that's the strongest you've ever had, I don't even want it to be in the same room.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I was like, I smoked it at like 5:30, and I was like, oh, I hope I'm ready for the podcast. We're recording at 8 for reference, but I am.
And now it's 9 because we've let this
We haven't even started the segments.
We've started the non-serious segments, and we've talked about the legal system and true love and
Purple Oracle
and things that don't matter as much as Oregon State's 55-7 win against the UC Davis.
Wait, well, what about Benny's wedding?
Oh, are we going to talk about Benny's wedding?
Well, that matters. I wanted to say cheers to Ben and Yuri. Congratulations. That was the other wedding I attended this week.
Thank you.
You weren't the officiant for the wedding, but you were the mod.
Thank you, Mod JP. That was that was honestly something that Yuri was very I shouldn't say concerned about, but definitely aware of, that somebody was going to be off mute. So I appreciate you holding it down on the Zoom session.
You did a better job than the Whitman County Superior Court Zoom did today.
but yeah, appreciate both of you guys being there. That means a lot. And it was a great weekend.
Right.
Nice.
And it is, and we're very, very happy for you, and we're ready to celebrate properly, which we'll do several times on this show, but also in person in 6 weeks in Las Vegas, Nevada.
I've rebooked my room 3 times, by the way, to try to get a better deal every time.
Oh, yeah. Look at the link I just sent you.
Most people have their bachelor parties before getting married. Not Benny. Changing the game.
Well,
switching it up.
Fool me once, shame on you. Benny's like, I'm not doing it the same way.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Terry zoomed into the wedding, and I'll have you show up to the bachelor party.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
From what it was last time.
It's an inverted pyramid, and this way the vibes will all be better.
That's right.
Well, cheers to you, Benny. Cheers to Zed Tava and Benny Jerk. I was so confused just because of, whatever. But salud, slancha, lahayim, whatever your flavor.
Yeah.
Benny, did you get a better wedding gift from anyone than Damien Martinez scoring a 64-yard touchdown the first time he touched the ball at brand new Research Stadium on Saturday?
Well, that's a silly question, because there couldn't be a wedding present that would be better than that. That was the wedding present.
I was watching on a phone at a wedding, but was that the first play from scrimmage?
First offensive play for Oregon.
UC Davis started with the ball. They actually drove into Oregon State territory. Andrew Chatfield got one of those big hands of his that shook hands with Benny.
They're big.
They are. And the ball, Easton Mascarenas Arnold made the interception at the Oregon State 36-yard line. And on the
not that it mattered what yard line it was.
I was trying to figure out. It's a 64-yard run. So
I'm just saying. I think he'd be the first to say that did you see his comments after the game, Damien? After they talked about a pretty clean run. I think it was Ron was interviewing him, or somebody was, but they were like, a pretty clean run, Damien. Like, how was it, like, seeing open field like that? He's like, oh, it was great until I got close to the end zone there. One of the guys came up and got me almost from behind. I'm not sure how he got from behind. Yeah, he's like, I'm not sure how he got me, so I think I'll have to do an extra couple sprints or something this week.
Credit to that dude. He was moving. Yeah, it was handoff to Damien, one cut, and then pay dirt. And y'all being there, like, I was ready for just like that kind of payoff to like take a little bit. I fully expected to win in a blowout. I predicted a 42-7 win on the predictions episode. But it's like, they're gonna come out jacked. Like maybe it's just like a little too excited. Like especially on offense, it's like balls can be misplaced. You can miss a block by being too jacked, and you're the offensive lineman. You're ready to hit somebody, and all of a sudden you're 10 yards downfield, and you completely miss. They executed perfectly. They are better than I expect, and just for that to happen on the first possession, and then the second possession, another no doubter, and DJ got the touchdown, and it was just perfect. And it was you really can't. It's these games are not difficult, but they're like tricky a little bit, I knew there's nothing we could do to beat UC Davis and then move up in the AP poll unless teams directly in front of us lost, and fucking one of them almost did, and it would have been the best one. Shout out to the dude who is sitting near me, who is keeping me very updated on everything happening in Lubbock, and we were very turned up about it. I also had money on Texas Tech, and they didn't even cover. They should have, whatever. But it was just, the vibes were great. DJ being able to come in, throw for 2, run for 1 more. He's played basically 5 quarters and accounted for 8 touchdowns. It's awesome. Damien getting 104 yards on 7 carries. I looked at this today. So since Damien's first 100-yard game, which took place last year in week 7, he has rushed for 100 yards or more in every single game since then, with the exception of the Vegas Bowl when he got hurt in the first quarter. So anytime since he first ran for 100 yards, if he's gotten 4 carries or more, he's eclipsed 100 yards. That's eight straight games of doing that. That's two-thirds of a season of just over 100 yards per game, averaging, just crazy yards per carry. And he was electric last week and didn't get in the end zone just because of kind of how the script of the game went. So for him to hit pay dirt on that 64 yards, I was so happy for him. I was, he
almost had another one. He almost had 2.
He almost had 2. Yeah, he was very close for that second one. But just seeing Dame get to do that, I think a lot of these games, it's just going to be like, DJ playing mistake-free football and Dame breaking the defense's will as soon as there's an opening, and we didn't really even need to let anything play out for that to happen. As much respect as possible to UC Davis, but they were just totally overmatched against the Beavs. So hopefully we see the same script against San Diego State, but it was exceptional to watch, and just to see those guys flying around making plays. Damien now 249 yards on 25 carries with a touchdown through 1 game. So that's how
many yards per carry is that? Almost 10?
9.9.
It's like 9.99 because he's at just 1 shy of it being an even 10.0.
That's so crazy.
That's a good start. If you want to win the Doak Walker, that's a very good start.
I want to say too on the Damien front, it's so interesting how we've seen really a limited preview still of what kind of back he'll be this year. And obviously he's very much improved, and he was already very good. But because of the limited time, because of the amount of weapons we have on offense now, especially with DJ and Aiden back there at quarterback, we're just seeing the offense open up so much more. And then we've got all the other incredible backs with Newell and Fenwick. And Damien still hasn't had that spotlight game. He's had spotlight plays, but he only played for a quarter and a half on Saturday. Right. So, but what I'm noticing though is that other people are starting to take more notice of the kind of back that he is, and we all really talked about this when he committed. That saying he runs like Steven Jackson. He's strong, he's low, but he's upright. And he'll always fall into the defense and gain a yard or 2. And so that 9.9 carry or yards per carry to me almost reflects the fact that because he's going to get 3 every touch, because he will run into somebody and fall forward. He's not going to slip. He's not going to fall back. He's not going to try to do too many dance moves behind the line. He's going to run through you. He's going to get his yards. And that kind of stuff is a will breaker. It's not the 64-yard runs that are will breakers. It's the ones that are, you get the dude stuffed a yard behind the line of scrimmage, and he still drags you forward for 2 or 3. And that's where I'm most excited to see how Damien plays when he's probably written into the game plan for an entire game. I don't think that Lindgren and Smith were envisioning him at all playing the entirety of any game thus far by design. But when he is getting you 2 to 3 yards every touch, and it's the middle to the end of the third quarter, that defense, no matter how good they are, is going to be exhausted, annoyed, frustrated, every single expletive you could think of. And so, I mean, he's not going to keep up 9.9 yards per carry, but that is just a small snippet view of the kind of back we have standing, behind DJ and co. And I Terry, I was going to ask you, like when Dame's first 100-yard game, that was the game he wasn't the number one back. That was the next week he was essentially named the starter after that point. And I don't know I don't really know what totally drives this kid. Like he's obviously insanely driven, but I don't think it's like being the starter. I don't think any of that kind of independent kind of accolade stuff is what drives him. And so like I really want to see him go up against some of these Pac-12 faux traders because they're going to have a heavy dose of Dame all game long, and it's going to drive them insane.
Right.
And he's going to love it.
Just into your question, JP, it's hard to sort of pinpoint that moment in the season last year just because Fenwick was dinged up and in and out so much. But so his first 100-yard game was 111 against Wazoo on 16 carries at Reser. The week before was when he had that huge touchdown against Stanford that gets rightfully overshadowed given the drama surrounding the game-winning touchdown of that game. But hope looked lost in that game, and Dame had a huge big run for a touchdown there. He ended up with 83 yards on 3 carries in that game. And so when any time a running back does that, you give him the ball more. So then after that, I just pull up the game log. He was around the 16, 22, 19, 23, 22 carries, and then ended up with 15 against Oregon, with that 15th one coming on that big run that he got hurt on, which did put him over 100 yards in that game.
So I just pulled it up. Last year, October 17th, we put out episode 68, and one of the topics is Damien Martinez the number one back? So that was after the game against Wazoo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think we'd all say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, agree, yes.
Yes.
And I think that obviously Damien Martinez is a special back, and Oregon State has had a number of special backs. And I think when it's all said and done, you're going to put him up on the pedestal with Steven Jackson, right? Where Steven Jackson, I think, is absolutely, he has the potential to be above. I think unless something crazy happens, I think he's on that same pedestal with Steven Jackson, and it's almost a certainty at this point. It seems like with the way he's playing. So you match that with a top 5 offensive line nationally, and you're going to have teams that really need to respect the run more so this year than last year. And last year, we saw teams that only respected the run, especially in that Oregon game. They knew it was coming, and we still ran it down their throat. We were still able to get first down after first down after first down. But this year, they need to respect the pass. And the beauty of all of this is that college football has changed the rules to give an absolute advantage to teams that can run out the clock. So Oregon State, I don't think you have to worry about a team jumping on you early. Not ideal, but you have people like Silas Bolden, who is fast as light, and Anthony Gould, who we didn't get to see this weekend, but he's also incredibly fast. You have Silas Bolden, who's on some All-American lists as a kick returner, and Anthony Gould on others as a punt returner, right? Like, you have a fast group of receivers. You have tight ends that can catch and block. And so you can come back if you're down. But if you get a couple scores ahead, you could just grind out the clock so much easier now. And it really does benefit Oregon State. And I think, you can't be sure about much, or 100% sure about much given who we've played. Although I think both teams are underrated nationally. We haven't played one of those nationally ranked Pac-12 opponents yet, but I do think that you can get a sense of what Oregon State's game plan is. You jump on them early and then you grind it out. And Oregon State has, in my opinion, really shown that they have a very good and sound game plan put together for grinding games out. And you match all of that with a quarterback like DJU. And this is a recipe for a really, really special season. And Beaver fans obviously realize this, and I'm not so sure the national pundits do yet, but the defense significantly better than I gave them credit for preseason, especially the secondary. The secondary, I've been so impressed with. They have not, that I've seen, been in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Trent Bray and the defensive back coaches have really gotten that group dialed in, and they're playing so fundamentally sound, and that's what you'll need against against some of these Pac-12 offenses is you need a sound and confident defensive backfield, and that's what we have. And match all that with our schedule. And I know I'm probably getting ahead of ourselves here, but it does really set up for a special season, and not just in the sense of making a Rose Bowl berth or playing in the Pac-12 tournament. This is a special team, and I think you'll start to see a lot more national recognition for how the Beavers are playing as opposed to the circumstance that they're in. I tweeted about it this weekend that this is the best Beaver team that we have seen since the 2001 Fiesta Bowl team, and I think this team's better.
When it's all said and done, and yeah, they very well could be.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then on the sort of clock management shit too, like right now, Fenwick is averaging 6.5 yards per carry as the number 2 back. Like that's that's pretty huge.
Does it say, or do you have stats in front of you, Terry, that shows how many times Aiden and DJU have been sacked? 'Cause I don't think it's much.
It's not. It's
I know DJU got sacked
3
once
total, I think.
Okay. The offensive line, man. I know they are getting shout outs from the OSU fam, but I mean, damn, they're good. They're
and
really,
it's
good.
the perfect recipe having 2 very athletic quarterbacks behind you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you can be elite as an offensive line, which ours is, and look even more incredible when your one mistake gets dodged, juked, spun around, and they escape as the quarterback just runs past them.
Or the quarterback just lowers his shoulder and
Right.
and makes a linebacker fall right off of him. That was incredible.
Yeah. So like I think the recipe for the season is very primed to be special. And I know these are, with all due respect to our opponents thus far, and next week, I don't want to look beyond San Diego State either. But like, look, we're not going to know for sure until the Wazoo game. But even that game, like we've talked about, has very interesting undertones and meaning.
You saw what they did to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, like, I think a lot of it's gonna be a while till we really truly know, but it's all there. It is all there and more.
And even like I put this in the notes where I don't want us to look past an opponent or take anyone for granted. But if you do want this to have the season you want, or for it to be a special season, you make quick work of San Diego State.
Yep.
That should be the expectation. San Diego State has had good teams. They are in the Mountain West, a conference we respect. They have not looked good in any of their 3 games. They do have 2 wins, a 20-13 win against Ohio, a 36-28 win against Idaho State. And, you can't necessarily just scoreboard watch to tell the difference of quality of opponents or anything. That Ohio game was week 0. Idaho State was week 1. After Idaho State lost to San Diego State by 8, they went and played one of San Diego State's conference brethren in Utah State, and they lost by 50. And San Diego State, they don't have much of a passing game to speak of yet. They have a talented kid named Jalen Maiden at quarterback who likes to run and can get out there. They have a nice little stable of running backs there, but they have not really inspired, and they got thumped by UCLA in San Diego last week, and it was pretty much just over. The Aztecs did not do much of anything, so you'd hope that this script is sort of the same, and that like they didn't look vanilla on offense at all because they're executing so spectacularly. But like we said after the San Jose State game, we don't think Lindgren's got into the bag at all. Like, I don't even know if he's opened the bag. The bag's just sitting there. And you want to beat San Diego State the same way, and you need to be ready if you can't. If they surprise, it's any given Saturday. It's still college football. They're going to come out and try to hit our guys in the mouth, and they need to be ready for it. But the plan is to make quick work, easy business, get some shit done. In a way where it's, like I heard a couple Beaver fans saying, and I think this is just a good example of the way they're approaching the game, of being like, oh, it would be nice for them to like reward Ben Gulbranson and seeing him get in these games. And like I want nothing but good things for Ben Gulbranson. And Dashel said this in his mailbag too, but the coaching staff has seen Gulbranson and I'll play a lot. They've seen him play a lot. They're not really just. While Aiden Childs is an amazing kid and is winning everyone over in all the right ways, him playing with the game out of reach isn't just like a reward or like, hey, go in there and have fun, number 0. Like, It's the coaching
Yeah,
staff.
you're
needs
our
to see
third
where he's
stringer.
at.
Go in
And
and clean up the rest of the game.
they need to see. It's like, okay, like what do we do later down the year where if we play Aiden, it would burn a red shirt. Like they need to have as much information possible if DJU were to go down. And even in a game that's completely out of hand and against inferior competition, you can't recreate those reps in practice. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So they're treating this like, like business as you want them to. So I hope that it's the same against San Diego State. I think it will be, and that will have a lot of juice then going into week 4 on the Palouse for all the reasons.
Shout out Aiden on his first career touchdowns.
Right. He and Riley Sharp looked to have a rapport. Like he had that was his longest completion against San Jose State was to Sharp, and that tight end position looks good on you, Riley.
Yeah, the tight end position just in general for Oregon State looks really good. I think so. I saw Dashel pose a question on Twitter today, and he had said, or the question was, should Aiden be redshirted or should he be the backup? And my comment was he should be the backup. The strength of this team, among others, is the depth of this team. In almost every single position, there is somebody that can step in that you feel confident in that can take the place of the starter. And I think it shouldn't be limited to positions other than quarterback. And being able, so if DJU went down, having Aiden there to replace him is a necessity. I mean, this is a team that doesn't get many windows. Teams like Oregon State and Washington State don't get a whole lot of windows, just based on how college football is set up. And you have to take advantage of the windows that you have. And right now is one of the, once in every 25 years sort of windows. And to redshirt one of your historically, that's a good point. Historically, and you cannot redshirt not one of your best quarterbacks, one of your best players. You cannot redshirt one of your best players. From what I've seen of Aiden, so this is what I've seen. DJU is such a good game manager, and that term is used as and has negative connotations a lot when I hear it. But what I mean is when we all talked about how good does it feel to have a quarterback that is in control of the game. You're not worrying about him making the wrong read or, him making a ton of mistakes and throwing the ball when he shouldn't have thrown the ball, right? So that's DJU, and that's what this team needs.
Calmness, experience, all the things that a successful game manager style quarterback can bring to the table. Hey, as somebody that was an Alex Smith lover, I mean, that dude to me did no wrong, and everyone called him a game manager. And I mean, look what kind of career he had, like his success. That kind of like intellectual quarterback is treasured, but also DJ does bring the talent on the side of it. It's not like he's a game manager where they're calling plays that are all safety nets.
Yeah,
right. I mean, right now he hasn't done anything too insane. I mean, the one throw, at least that I was able to see live, of course, was the San Jose State touchdown, and where he had all the time of the day to make a sandwich. But like that throw still was like, he thought through, he looked through his reads, did his progression, and found the dude in the corner of the end zone and just put the most perfect touch on the ball to get it to him. It's very hard to pair both of those things. But I think first and foremost, what stands out to us as Beaver fans is the fact that he is a calm presence behind the line and is a great manager of the offense. I mean, with no insult included at all. Like, that is maybe one of the best compliments you can get from an Oregon State fan.
100%. So Oregon State's exactly what he needed, in my opinion. The way that Jonathan Smith and Brad Lindgren run the offense he has the exact type of characteristics that you want in a quarterback in this type of offense. And that's what Oregon State needs too, obviously. But Aiden Childs, there is something special in the way that he plays that I think the offense could be opened up even more a little bit if Aiden was given the chance. Obviously, like best case scenario, Aiden learns under DJU for 1 year, and then the position's Aiden's once DJU goes into the draft. That's best case scenario. But I would be a lot more confident with Aiden Childs as quarterback than Ben Goldbranson. And that is not a diss to Ben Goldbranson. He had 7 wins last year that were not 7 wins that were in the bag. He had to go out there and manage that game well, or those games well, in order to get those wins. But Aiden, there's something so special with that kid that I mean, he's one of those guys who could take over like a Jalen Hurts or one of those type of players that just sets the world on fire. And so my long point being is you should not redshirt Aiden Childs.
I agree. And my semi-short point is I brought this up last week where I thought, oh no, like it's Beaver fans are almost like, predisposed to thinking the worst is going to happen. And then when the worst happens, it really is the worst. Like not the worst thing that could happen, but the outcome is the worst thing that could have happened at that point. And the depth of this team, as you're saying, Benny, is its strength. And if God forbid DJU gets hurt, I don't want to be sitting here being like, what if we just still had Aiden? And I think that Ben would do a great job. We thought that it was very clear that he was our best quarterback last year, and not just because of the W's. I think he did what Jonathan Smith and Lindgren wanted him to do, which is what they're asking DJ to do. But they're not. They're not really asking Aiden to do that because I think they see something bigger. And so. If DJU got hurt, God forbid again, and it was between Benny G and Aiden who would come in next, you got to go to the youth and just say, all right, what do you got, kid? And if he's not there and we have this window of this team in this moment right now, and we don't have the chance to really see its max full potential, maybe that's an assumption. Maybe it's not its max full potential with Aiden over Ben or vice versa, but you wouldn't know unless you had the chance. So don't remove the opportunity to have that chance.
Right, because you're redshirting him. You're redshirting him so that he would get an additional year at the end. But who knows where the program is at the end of those 4 years? You know where you are right now.
Right. You
like
play right now.
Take advantage of it
right
now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Terry, I'm going to be there next week. Benny, you may be there next week.
I bought my ticket. I'm there next week.
Speaking of somebody getting
red eye in.
Oh, you should do it.
Because Skins is going to be there too.
Yeah.
You seriously? You might?
Yeah. No, he's. Oh, you really? You ain't?
I don't think I will. But
well, super secret producer Skinner's coming. I have no transportation there, so I had to rent a Tesla. So I'll be driving a Tesla for the first time.
Had to rent a Tesla.
Yeah.
I fear for everyone on the road that day.
That's what my wife said. And so. I'm excited to go check out the game day atmosphere at Reser. I heard it was incredible. Not to mention next weekend's going to be like a beautiful September Saturday afternoon of like 90 degrees.
What?
It's going.
That's too hot.
That's so hot.
But it's cold
Advantage Aztecs who play in the heat more than the Beavs do.
And have no shade in their stadium. So their fans are like, this is fine. This is
That's so true.
But I mean, it's going to be just a perfect day. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon. I'm very excited to go see how the atmosphere is compared to what we also saw in the evening.
How was the light show?
The light show was great, and it's because I wasn't expecting it either. Because like the sun was out when the game started, and then obviously goes down during the game. So that first touchdown after it was dark out, and they turned off all of the lights, but left the orange lights on. It was like, whoa! Like I literally think I grabbed a Skinder and was like, "What's happening?"
You could hear audibly on
everyone going.
Yeah,
everyone's like,
"Oh!"
Yeah! And then it goes to "Oh!" And then it's like, "Yeah!" It was great. It was a type of move that I hadn't seen in Reser before. It kind of felt like we'd arrived a little bit. And yeah, it was great. I mean, of everything I just heard, there's a couple kinks. Like I think the sound system is like still being replaced or partially replaced. So that's either going to get better. I heard someone said it improved as the game went on. And my theory is
their hearing just diminished as the game went on.
Or you had a few more beverages and realized you didn't care. And then there's so Beaver Street's great. I will say, so our seats were in the northwest corner of the stadium, so the northern part of Beaver Street. If you're on the northern end of Beaver Street, so like towards the terrace, like you can keep going 360 around the stadium, but you can't then take a left or turn back into the main concourse to get to seats. You have to go back through Beaver Street, which is fine because Beaver Street's where the party's at and all the to-go beers, and there's the market and stuff like that. But we did have to walk through. It was pregame, so it was still packed. So if you are sitting in the northernmost part of the new West Side, you do have to get on those escalators or those stairwells to get to your seats on the 200 level or 300 level at the southern end of Beaver Street.
Yeah, there are elevators over there, but on the north side of the new side, but not for you.
Not for me. Not for my ass.
But
I could walk. I was happy to walk. I just thought I could go, and then I was 20 feet from leaving the stadium, and of course there is no re-entry. So I was like, "Oh no, I can't go through that
gate." Are you saying though that the walking down Beaver Street is One Direction, or are you saying that you?
I know I can name a One Direction song, but it's escaping me. JP, please play 5 seconds of the One Direction song of your choice. I do know Niall Horan was in One Direction, and he's a judge on The Voice, which my girlfriend Sam loves, and I have learned to love too.
Which means, you love that show now.
It is fun. Chance the Rapper was great in his first season, but I digress. Beaver Street is amazing. We had a great time. It was just everyone was there, and Skins and I were there. We met up with Beaver Dam Scott and with the homie Linda. Ryan Harlan of the Orange Media Network came out and said, "What's up?" That is also where I met Mr. McCartan. Thank you for chatting with me for so long, Mr. McCartan. You're a wonderful man. You did a great job with your son. And yeah, it was just it was kind of like a thing where, I think the experience of it will continue to get better just because there are a number of bottlenecks, which just happens in stadiums anyway. But also people kept kind of stopping and going ooh, and causing more congestion, but no one really cared. There is some super long lines, which are often annoying, but no one really cared. So
were they at Chop 'em Sticks?
I didn't even stop at Chop 'em Sticks because the line was so long at Chop 'em Sticks. I was really just craving a hot dog. So I got a hot dog.
The
it was
tacos
so much
there
better than the hot dog that Benny got at Husky Stadium last season. And
dude, I had a bad experience with the hot dog at the Ed Sheeran concert in Seattle too. It was the worst hot dog I've ever had.
Hot take: do hot dogs in Seattle suck? Is that the thing we discovered?
Yeah, they're not good.
Oh
Yeah.
my
They're
God.
not good.
Shall I list the other things that are not good about Seattle? No, because we have listeners in Seattle. No, Terry. I have to be nice.
And also, this episode is an hour and 40 minutes already.
39.
We don't have another 4 hours for you to say everything you hate about Seattle. Anyway, yes,
we also need to get
research was dope. We do need to get to the shouts. Shout out to all of you who are going to the game on Saturday. I am jealous. I want to just live in Reser forever. Say what's up to everybody. The pregame block party was great. People were out. People were celebrating. It was fantastic. We need to go to the volleyball. And we need to workshop this segment. JP did not like my suggestion of the net, but we'll find.
The net is your enemy in volleyball. It is literally your enemy. You cannot touch the net, pull on the net, nothing.
Rub the net.
We could say the court, but that would be confusing. And it's also on. It's not the same surface as hardwood, right? The basketball segment's the hardwood.
Well, it depends where you're playing, but yeah, it could be on hardwood or it's on the I don't know
the mat,
the court
the mat, but the mat's gymnastics.
Yeah,
it's those little court puzzle pieces. Yeah,
the puzzle. Do we just call it the puzzle?
The puzzle.
No, I gave you some ideas here.
I know, but I don't. But those are actions. Those aren't places. It's not the same. Anyway, the
volleyball is a ball
on trucking as they sweep day one in the Riverside Classic with wins against UC Riverside and Nevada. They came back from 2 sets down to 0 against Nevada, sweeping the final 3, and then swept UC Riverside. Unfortunately, ended with a loss to California Baptist. They did win the first set. That they won 2 sets in that one, including the first. So they did have 7 consecutive winning sets in the Riverside Invitational. So now they are 8 games in this season. with a record of 5-3. And, we knew this was a project for Lindsey Bohonic coming into it. But, so far, so good. Record above 500. And some clear displays of consistent play. In the wins, Megan Sheridan led the team with a total of 27 kills across those two matches, followed by Peyton Soyce, and Michaela Vernon. Special shout out to Peyton, aka the pride of Kaysen, Minnesota, an hour and a half south of Minneapolis. Transfer from Wake Forest. Belated welcome to the Beaver fam, Peyton. Minnesota Beavs, stand up. Let's go.
Let's go.
Coach Bohonic's definitely got the culture turned around. I'm really excited to see where she can continue to build this program. I mean, this was a difficult reversal, let's be honest. And they're still early in this season, but watching them play, maybe it's just, the change of the scheme or bringing in some of the new transfers. It just feels a little more loose, a little more natural, and the wins, the sweeps, everything's definitely reflecting that. And I think that we have a pretty interesting program building right in front of us right now, and we should continue to pay attention to what the volleyball team and Coach Bohonic's doing with that program.
That's awesome. Volleyball games are so fun. I remember catching a few in the Beaver Dam when we weren't great, but we're competitive. And man,
I still have a Oregon State volleyball that I walked out of Gill with from the game. The seams are popped out and the bladder is exposed. It's a very old volleyball. It found its way
into my hands, and I just didn't stop walking once it was in my hands.
Yeah. It's a very old volleyball, as all olds like us know, that your bladder just goes, and this bladder, this volleyball is already leaking out. Oh. I might nix this. Move on.
You made it gross. You made it really gross. On to the pitch. Lawrence and Nicola's women's soccer squad improved to 3-2-2 on the season after a 3-2 win against UC Irvine on Thursday night. And another frenzy at Paul Lorenzi. And then a draw against the Boise State Broncos in Idaho on Sunday. McKenna Martinez, Belligerent Beavs athlete, scored a goal on Thursday night, her third straight game with a goal, and a goal that moved her into sole possession of 6 on the all-time scoring list.
She's a machine. She's a machine.
Lots of time this season and another season, maybe even more, 2 more seasons. I don't know. Like we said on everything, we can't track eligibility anymore. But so McKenna's got a lot of time to keep moving up that list. So great to see her score again. And then it was a 0-0 draw in Boise. So unfortunately nothing in the back of the net. But when you keep a clean sheet on the road in a tough environment, that's always a good development. So team's playing well, and they host Montana next Sunday, so they got a little bit of time off.
They can say hi to George Kliavkov.
Well, it's in Corvallis. Maybe.
Well, then
is
not.
George Kliavkov now traveling with the Montana Grizzlies women's soccer team? Is that the next chapter in his life? I suggested in the Monday Morning Tail Slap that he is a character fit for companies like FIFA or Bishop Sycamore, but maybe he sticks around Montana. I don't know. We'll see.
I got to say, McKenna's got 28 shots through 7 games. I think there's going to be more coming because she's letting them unload, absolutely unload, and it has nailed some deep shots just like last year already. It's been very exciting to watch this team. So tune in, watch Coach Nicola's squad, watch Belligerent Beavs athlete McKenna Martinez. She is a masterful soccer player. Masterful.
Right. And then that game on Sunday, they go into conference play after that. So
yeah.
That'll be exciting. Men's soccer, they get after it at Cal on Thursday night to start their conference season. They lost in their last game, also a week in between games last Thursday, to Seattle in Seattle. JP, if you want to talk shit about Seattle, you can right now. By a score of 2-1.
Suck.
Hot dogs suck.
So fucking dry.
And both those goals were fluky as fuck, just like a good hot dog in Seattle. It's just 1 in a million. So they're under Coach Greg Dolby. Greg Dolby was interviewing interviewed by Ron Callan outside of the Beaver Block Party when Skins and I were hanging out, and gave us a nice wave. So thank you for waving to us, Coach. That was nice. And they are 3-2, and are getting ready to Cal's always tough in starting a conference slate off on the road. There's a few more non-conference games after that. I think they have Loyola Marymount immediately after Cal.
Wait, Cal
we'll
Stanford.
definitely...
This is an ACC matchup.
Oh yeah, we'll be going to ACC country.
Yeah, we're playing in Dallas.
Yeah. Let's just have all of our neutrals. Let's just not have events on campus anymore, because no one comes to college.
Instead of flying 600 miles to Berkeley, we're actually flying 1,800 miles to Dallas to play this game against ACC foe Cal Berkeley.
I mean, miles don't matter anymore. Geography's done. We decided to be done with geography.
Yeah.
Anything else in the wake of shout outs?
Yeah, we got a shout out. We got a shout out to Beaver Fam, Coug Nation out there. We dropped some merch yesterday. Terry, did you see this? Were you on an airplane?
I did. I saw it on the airplane.
Nice.
I
you got your Wi-Fi working.
I got my Wi-Fi work. I got my Wi-Fi working. I graduated.
Nice.
I still read it. I still read a hard copy of a book for a little bit to retain some of my old schoolness. But this is I contain levels, so I wanted to tick all the boxes, and I tried for you.
Well, thanks. Well, while you were on a plane reading the book, we devised a plan to.
I was part of this conversation. God damn you!
To create and sell Pack 2 shirts that were very reflective of not an artist named Tupac Shakur, no matter what kind of interpretation you take on the imagery. Likewise, it included 2 animals side by side wearing bandanas in the manner of artist Tupac Shakur that do not at all reflect the Oregon State and Washington State mascots. If anything, it is a coincidental artistic interpretation that they may or may not be viewed as such. However, we put them out there on a whim. This entire thing was very unplanned, to be blunt, and said, hey, you know what? We're going to donate $5 to each of the NIL collectives for the respective universities that we're talking about here, which is Oregon State, Washington State, and Damnation Collective and Coug Collective. It took off. So I personally want to say thank you to all of the fans who purchased this merch. To be blunt, I don't think we anticipated this getting as big as it did. We decided pretty early on, as we saw the momentum really picking up, that we weren't going to just donate $5 per collective per order, but instead take really any extra profit, as we normally do for any NIL, and just send it all their way and split that evenly. And as the heavenly green thumb lords above us who prune their flowers and drop it down into Benny's joints, they must have heard our calling for making this merch, and very fittingly, not because anything was reflective of Tupac Shakur or because these 2 Pacific Northwest universities do partake quite a bit in the marijuana substance, but we somehow ended up, after less than 24 hours when we had to close the window of the drop, being able to contribute $420 to each of the collectives. Nice. Each, yes.
So
each.
Nice.
What a nice total.
It's very nice.
So I really hope if you get a shirt, please take a picture. Send us a picture of you wearing it. It does actually bring like a lot of joy to us. We think it's amazing to see our stuff out in the real world, especially something as collaborative as this. Coug Collective, Damnation, they're both on board. And these 2 universities, we deserve greatness, and I love that we're both in the fight for it together. And so these shirts are very reflective of that. So if you get a shirt, take a picture, send to us. We'll be very happy. You'll tickle our hearts.
Well done, JP. Well done, Coug Collective. Well done, Damnation. Happy to contribute. We're all in this together, and yeah. Thank you, Beaver Fam, for always supporting our creative initiatives. And thank you for Wazoo for being a dope partner in this really not dope situation. So
Plus one.
our fan bases will be closer after this, for better or for worse. But mainly, thank you, listener, for listening to this long and not at all unhinged episode of Belligerent Beavs Podcast, episode 107. On this day where, we went to court. I think it's the first courtroom proceeding we've spent time on this. Maybe there was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard reference for a second or two.
I don't know. I feel like I have the Law and Order sound in here somewhere. So,
oh, we have used it. JP, please play 5 seconds of the Law and Order song. Right. What if we're in court and like Jonathan Smith just popped up and was like, I will be facilitating. Haven't you seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? That would be dope. Benny clearly hasn't seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
What?
I haven't either. I'm just aware that it is a movie about America. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for being the Beaver fam. Thank you for supporting the team, all the teams and the school so far in this season of seasons, through all the good, all the bad, and all of this bullshit that the suits are putting us through. We really appreciate it. If you are new to the show, welcome. Thank you for listening to 114 minutes of this unhinged, crazy party that we call Belligerent Beavs. Please rate and review wherever you get your podcast. 5 stars only, please. We'd really appreciate it. And please share the show with a friend. And please follow us on all the socials. We're on X, Twitter, whatever, at Bellig Beavs. They still haven't, I asked Elon if we could have the characters that he took out of twitter.com to add into our handle, so it could just be at Belligerent Beavs, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet. But I think it's on his desk. We're just waiting for him to sign off on it. So we're at Belligerent Beavs on X. We're at Belligerent Beavs on Instagram, and we're on the Facebook. We're on the Blue Sky. I think we have a TikTok that has not posted a video, but has probably liked some videos. Theoretically, Jay.
Don't look at our likes.
Don't look at our likes. Don't do that.
Wrong account.
Don't follow us on TikTok. Do follow us everywhere besides TikTok, especially OnlyFans. That is our priority currently. Thank you, as always, to my amazing co-hosts in Belligerence, Benjamin Lawrence, Sebastian Wehage in Tacoma, Washington, freshly married last week. He's still Benny with the good quaff, still Benny Burner, still Benny Bedlam, because he's still fucking crazy, folks. Still Benny Bowl Game, still Benny Blast Off. We love you, buddy. So happy for you. Can't wait to celebrate with you in Vegas.
Or next weekend.
I will celebrate you next weekend.
Yes,
I'll be there Friday night, Saturday night.
Ooh. That guy who will be in Corvallis on Friday night and Saturday night, definitely not staying across the street from Research Stadium, is JP Bertram. He's at JP Bertram on Instagram and at the Trill J on Twitter. That's at the_Trill_J, because he's too trill to be real. And you can follow me too on X/Twitter at Terry Horstman and at Terrence Horstman on Instagram.com. Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for being the Beaver fam. Thank you for buying shirts. Thank you for spreading joy and love and keeping optimism in your heart, because you know as well as I do that no matter what those assholes say, no matter how many Wednesday afternoon meetings they try to hold to dissolve your shit so they can run away with your shit, they still cannot spell chop 'em without hope. So chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
And bring back Bernice.
And we'll see you in court.